This is the ultimate scrapwood project. All these pieces were left over, a little bit of oak, ash, walnut, poplar, and even a little cherry. It was all 4/4, meaning it's 1 inch rough sawn lumber, and I had to mill it, which means I had to basically get all the pieces to be usable, get them all squared up and flat, and get all the wobbles out of them to use for this project. After I got all the pieces straight, flat, and squared, I was ready to start gluing them up based off of the serving sizes they would be. So if, for example, walnut might be a small serving plate, maybe a dessert plate that would have some grapes on it or something like that. And then the oak might be a large dinner size thing that have a big cheese spread on it. I got them all glued up with Tybond 3, which is one of my favorite ones, that it has a little bit more of that waterproofing or water resisting tendency. After letting the pieces dry overnight, I started sanding all the wood glue squeeze out and all the rough joints nice and flat. I started with 80 grit. Keep in mind this is hardwood, so you'll have to put a little bit of work to it. Went through 120 and then of course 220 to finish it off. Next comes the fun part. This is where we start drawing all the shapes. I went with the 5 classic shapes that I found really suiting for this: the hexagon, the pentagon, the kite, the triangle, and what I call the circle, but really it's a variation of a half circle, half Pac-Man. It's kind of a little fun twist on it. I drew everything out using all the square tools that I had, making sure they're all symmetrical and straight, and then I brought it over to my bandsaw to start cutting all the shapes out. Now, knowing it would leave some saw marks on the edges, I brought it over to my sander, my benchtop oscillating sander, and I started cleaning up all the edges to make sure they're nice and sharp. The less curvature they had or grooves, the smoother and slicker and cleaner this project looked. Just when I was ready to leave the project alone, I felt that it was missing something. So to give it that added flair, I decided to install a walnut piece inlay that would run across all the geometric pieces to symbolize that they all belong together, like this is where they connect. So to accomplish this, I set up a Dado Stack, which is an accumulation of different thicknesses of blades that are meant to chip away a large portion in a clean cut on your table saw. You can also accomplish this using a router that's perhaps with a 3/4 inch cutout bit and set it to about a 1/4 inch depth. That's what my inlay was. I applied some Tybond 3 wood glue and I set the piece of walnut in and I taped it and let it dry overnight. The next day when the pieces were dry, I then removed the tape, used a handsaw to trim off all the excess walnut inlay, and then gave it that final sanding to make sure the inlay is flush with the cutting board or serving cheese plate as it should be. Now, to give the cheese boards or the cutting boards that magnetic magic, I picked up a pack of the 1/2 inch rare earth magnets from my local arts and crafts store. They're not expensive at all, usually under $10 for like a pack of 8. Now, I lined up exactly on the boards where the 2 would connect on each side. Then I took a 1/2 inch Forstner bit and I bored a hole that's about 3/8 inch deep, a little bit on the wider side and a little bit on the deeper side, mostly because I wanted the glue to be able to get the air bubble out of there. I mixed up some 5-minute epoxies, just a 2-part resin and 1 part hardener. Set it in with a little brush and I set in place those little magnets. Once they're in place, I taped them over as a little light clamping pressure. You don't want to squeeze out all the epoxy out of there, and of course let it sit overnight. Yes, it is a 5-minute epoxy, but I wanted to give it that added strength. Once that was done, I then came over for the final sanding of the 220 grit and brought my 3/8 inch roundover bit to give it the groove, the nice smooth effect along all the edges. Once that was set, I was ready for my Foodsafe application, which is the Howard's oil and wax application. I've used this for years and applies so easy. It's just a couple of coats of that oil and wax mixed together. Let the boards hydrate and soak it all in. Once it was in, wipe off all the excess and you're ready to start serving. Hey, well, that is it for me this week. If you have any other ideas for this video, leave them down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like, comment, and share it with your friends. Most importantly, if you're brand new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button right over there. Tap that notification bell. That way you'll be alerted every time a video comes out. Follow me on social media. Tune in out this week. We'll see you guys next week. See ya. Bye.